Hello students, how are you doing? Hope you are studying well. Okay, till now we have studied Spearman's theory of intelligence and Thurston's theory of intelligence. Today we will study Guilford's theory of intelligence. It is a little bit lengthy but very important. So before we start, let us revise Spearman and Thurston what they said in a nutshell. Spearman said that intelligence is characterized by G factor. It means it is G factor, it is your general intelligence, it is your common sense, it is your general mental ability that influences your cognitive tasks. It is this intelligence that plays an important role in almost all your activities, in all your mental activities. So it is G factor. What Thurston said? Thurston said no, I disagree. Basically he extended his theory, Spearman's theory. He said that intelligence is a cluster of related abilities and there are 7 primary mental abilities. There are 7 factors which Thurston thought that intelligence is comprised of. There are 7 primary mental abilities like verbal fluency, verbal comprehension, numerical ability and so on. This we have studied. But now Guilford came. Guilford said, I agree, building upon the views of Thurston. He said, yes, intelligence is a cluster of abilities, but in my opinion, intelligence is comprised of 180 abilities. So what he said, let's start. Okay. First of all, his biography. His name, Joy Paul Guilford. He was born on March 7, 1897 in Nebraska, that is in US. He is well remembered for psychometric studies of human intelligence and creativity, and he explored the multidimensional aspects of human mind. One thing please try to remember, he was interested in studying individual differences. He was interested in studying creativity. So he explored the multidimensional aspects of the mind and he came up with what? He came up with structure of intellect. His theory is also very popular by the name of structure of intellect. Okay. Now what is structure of intellect? What he tried to explain, he said that intelligence consists of numerous intellectual abilities. He first proposed his model with 120, then 150 and finally 180. These type of questions do come in exams, like who gave structure of intellect, how many abilities, their name, like products, contents and operations. These kind of questions do come. So please try to explain, try to understand, try to learn this theory in an like you have to go in detail while studying this theory. 2 or 3 questions are definitely expected from this theory. So what he said that intelligence comprises of 180 abilities. Intelligence, what I think, what is intelligence? Intelligence is basically he explained his theory along 3 dimensions. He gave us tri-dimensional cubical model of intelligence. That is called structure of intellect. We have to now we study what is structure of intellect, what do we mean by these operations, contents and products. Okay. What are operations? In simple words, what are operations? These are your mental activities. When a problem comes in front of you, when you are encountered by you have to solve something, you have to apply your mind, you have to apply some operations. This is, according to him, these are mental operations that are used by all of us. Okay. These are cognition, memory recording, memory retention, divergent production, convergent production and evaluation. Now what is cognition? Cognition is you are learning something, when you are skilled in something, when you are able to understand. Suppose you are learning how to drive. When you are expert in that particular thing, when you are skilled in one thing, we say this is cognition. when you're able to discover something, when you're able to understand, when you say now I have learned something, this is cognition. Memory recording, memory retention is a part of memory. What is memory? First of all, you have to encode something in order to retain something. You have to encode something. That is memory. That is memory recording. And then you have to retain something so that you can recall or recognize it in for later use. Why we are memorizing something? So that we can recall it, so that we can recognize something when it is required. So this is what we mean by memory recording and memory retention. So encode information and retain information. Okay. Then is divergent production. What is divergent production? Basically used in the areas of creativity. Divergent production is generating multiple solutions to a problem. It is very well used in the tests of creativity. When there are multiple solutions, when you are asked to give so many answers to a particular problem, then you are indulged in divergent production. When you give novel solutions to a problem, unusual, original, lots of, then you are engaged in divergent production. Sometimes problems require divergent production, sometimes problem require convergent production. Now what is convergent production? Convergent production is deducing a single solution to a problem, not so many, single solution to a problem. When there is one well accepted popular solution to a problem, when you give, then you are indulged in convergent production. For example, mathematical solutions, mathematical problems, when you give, when 2 plus 2, when somebody asks 2 plus 2, you have to say 4. You cannot be so novel, you cannot be unusual, you cannot give lots of multiple answers to a problem. 2 plus 2 is 4, 5 multiplied by 4 is 20. Likewise, that is convergent production. Okay, and next is evaluation. Evaluation is judgment. When it is a process of, when suppose you are going to make a purchase and you evaluate, you make a judgment that whether this purchase is beneficial. You count the pros and cons. You think that profit and loss, in terms of profit and loss, that is, you are evaluating. You are basically judging whether this is reliable, whether it is valid, whether it is consistent. This is what we mean by evaluation. These all are operations. These all are mental operations. These all are intellectual activities or mental processes used by us when we find any problem. These are operations. Please go through these again and again. These are very important. Next is contents. Now what are contents? Now you have to apply your operations on something, on some information, right? This information, this is called content. You have to apply your operations on something. That something is content. This is the information. This is the subject matter. This is the area on which operations are applied. These are contents. This is the information that exists in the environment on which operations are carried out. It's very simple. Visual, auditory, symbolic, semantic and behavioral. What is visual? Visual informs information. It involves information from your sense of sight, vision. The concrete real world around you comes under visual content. Say, for example, you know the color of an apple. How do you perceive this information? You say that the color of an apple is red. This is real concrete information. And how do you perceive this information? With your eyes. This is visual content. You are perceiving information. You are perceiving this information from your sense of sight. Vision is involved. You know the shapes of different objects. You know the size of different objects. You know the color of different objects. It is based on visual content, right? Then is auditory. Auditory, it involves information in auditory form, sense of hearing. You understand, you perceive information the sounds of different instruments, sounds of birds, sounds of animals, and likewise auditory content. You are perceiving information, you are taking information in auditory form. This is how you perceive information of sounds. Then is symbolic. Symbolic is sign language. In for example, digits, sign of multiplication, sign of addition, sign of subtraction. Likewise, there's different kind of signs, and you observe information. You take information in symbolic form. This is what we mean by symbolic. Then is semantic. Semantics basically meaning, clear verbal form of meaning or ideas. You perceive information on the basis of meaning. Language is involved in words or sentences where no examples are necessary. Words, you perceive information in words or sentences on the basis of semantics, on the basis of meaning, clear verbal form of meaning or ideas. Semantic, meaning, language, very important. Next is behavioral. You understand others, you gain knowledge about other persons. That is behavioral. How do you gain? Sometimes through their body language, their what comes in this, facial expressions, their gestures, their postures, through on the basis of observation. When you are taking information, that is behavioral content. Okay, so these are five types of contents. Contents are information that exists in the environment on which operations are carried out. Okay, students, as I have told you that this theory is a little bit lengthy, so I will be taking third dimension, that is product, in my next video. Pay attention and keep studying.